What's up, guys? Welcome to TEF Academy. In this series of videos, we will be looking at engineering science and form. So make sure that you remember the concepts that you studied in N3 because we're going to be using some of those concepts to continue as we look at the things that we are going to be studying in the subject. So let me just take this time to introduce the subject, give you a sense of all the modules that we are going to be doing and why we are doing them. Alright, so the very first module that we are going to be looking at is kinematics. This is probably the first module in your textbooks. So kinematics, we are primarily looking at vectors. So why do we study vectors? Well, engineers need to learn to simplify the world around them and analyze it in straight lines. So we're going to be getting familiar with what vectors mean and how to interpret them. The second module we are going to be looking at is angular motion. So angular motion is very similar to kinematics because we are still dealing with vectors, but now we are looking at vectors derived from a circular motion. And then in the third module, we are going to be looking at dynamics. When we study dynamics, we're going to be looking at Newton's laws and the law of conservation of energy. And the reason why we study these laws is because, as an engineer, you need to understand the fundamental laws of nature. In the fourth module, we're going to be looking at statics. So in statics, we're going to be looking at objects that are not moving. As the name implies, they are static objects. So we'll be looking at the concept of equilibrium. In the fifth module, we're going to be looking at hydraulics. So what we're going to be doing in hydraulics is we're going to be studying physical properties of fluids so that we can get a basic understanding of how fluids behave when they are subjected to forces. As you can imagine, when you're an engineer, you might find yourself in a situation where you are trying to design a dam or some complicated piping system that carries water. So you need to at least have a basic understanding of how those fluids will respond when subjected to different types of forces in that particular system. And then in the next module, we are going to be looking at strength of materials. And in this module, what we look at is the physical properties of solids. So what we want to do here is we want to get a basic understanding of how solids behave when they are subjected to forces. Everything around us is, every object around us is subjected to some kind of force, but how it behaves as a result of those forces will depend on the type of material it is made from. So we're going to be looking at those properties. And then last but not least, we are going to be looking at heat. And so we're going to be looking at how liquids, solids, and gases behave when they are subjected to heat. So really what we are trying to unpack is the chemical effects of materials. So in a nutshell, those are the topics we are going to be looking at And so, yeah, let's get into it.